Right now at 5, a head-on collision in Newton County, Missouri takes the life of the teenage driver.
And we've got ourselves another calm start for us on this Friday morning. We've got more pop-up storms and a muggy day ahead of us. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
And ever wonder what happened to the good old days? Head to Fort Scott this weekend to find out.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, so it's time now. It's finally Friday in the 4 states, and we've got a pretty exciting day later today for the both of us with Fort Scott's good old days.
Definitely looking forward to that. Our entire noon show will be live out there in Fort Scott.
And we've never done that before with the noon show, so this is going to be very exciting for us out there. So make sure you come see us and make sure you dress comfortably because it's going to be warm, it's going to be muggy, and bring an umbrella just in case because we've got another opportunity for pop-up storms this afternoon as well. So we head into the future track. Now for the noon hour, we're actually looking to be dry, and that's kind of how it's been lately. These really get going after noon. And we go to 2 o'clock, and there we go. Here are some of those pop-up storms, and we'll start to see them, and they'll continue through the afternoon into the evening hours. And then, of course, once we lose the heating of the day, they will be gone. And then we will see this pick up again tomorrow. Now, we could see some pop-up storms in southwest Missouri and extreme southeast Kansas, but chances for at least some more organized shower and thunderstorm activity will come across southeast Kansas, west of 69, maybe even west of Highway 7. But at least it's an opportunity for actual rainfall, like measurable, meaningful rainfall across parts of the drought-stricken areas in southeast Kansas. Quick look at our MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. Looks good. KDOT camera at 69 and 400. Also, not bad as we start this Friday morning. And we are warm, we are muggy, sitting at 68 in Joplin, dew point 61, and humidity is up there at 78%. As we look at temperatures around the area, we've got 63 Fort Scott, 66 Parsons, 68 in Miami, and 67 in Neosho. We get our morning started. We're going to start out sunny, then we'll go to partly cloudy skies, warmer again into the lower, almost mid-80s by late morning. Our afternoon highs, upper 80s, maybe near 90 again. Partly cloudy skies. Then again, as the afternoon and evening progress, we'll start to see some of those pop-up storms. They'll clear out and leave us with partly cloudy skies and another mild evening near 70 for our overnight lows tonight, if you can believe that. Quite mild. 89 tomorrow, 92 on Sunday. Again, those better chances of storms on Saturday. Some pop-up storms continue through at least Tuesday. Temperatures get back into the mid-80s, and then we'll see more pop-up thunderstorm chances return by next Thursday. And look at next weekend. More lower 90-degree readings. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The Neosho community mourns the loss of a teenager killed in a crash. The crash happened in Newton County Thursday morning on Missouri 86 near Baxter Avenue. Authorities say 18-year-old Sydney Humphreys died at the scene after her car crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. She was the daughter of a former Neosho police officer and had graduated from Neosho High School just 2 weeks ago. 2 people were in the other car. The other driver, 37-year-old Ellen Anderson of Neosho, and a 4-year-old boy were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police in Parsons, Kansas are searching for a man who they say was involved in several incidents on Wednesday, including an exchange of gunfire. That man is Stederish Herman. Authorities say on Wednesday morning he used a hatchet to destroy a vehicle and then committed another criminal damage incident at a different location before leading police on a chase. He escaped but was later identified as one of the suspects in an exchange of gunfire that hit multiple homes, a vehicle, and a business. Again, he fled the scene, but he left behind his sister, Bernia Herman, who was arrested and charged with aiding and abetting attempted murder in the first degree. Now, if you have information about Herman's location, you're asked to call police. Missouri Governor Mike Parsons signed an executive order declaring a drought alert in the state. It's the first step in Missouri's drought plan, which allows the governor to direct state agencies to better provide resources and assistance to Missourians in need. Missouri Drought Assessment Committee is now active and will meet for the first time next week. The U.S. Drought Monitor indicates that all or portions of 60 Missouri counties are experiencing moderate, severe, or extreme drought conditions. The Joplin Humane Society's kennels are getting more and more full. KOAM's Yana Tula talked with the Humane Society and some residents about the shelter that's running out of space.
Joplin Humane Society is at full capacity, which they say tends to happen around this time of the year. They're asking community members to come in and help them by fostering, volunteering, or adopting animals.
Every year we just have a huge influx. Right now we currently have over 670 animals in our care. That ranges from tiny babies to senior pets. So we've got everybody here, and it's really overwhelming, not just for the staff, but for the animals as well.
Tiana Fisher, Shelter Services Manager, says the Humane Society can house about 450 animals. They are having to double up on cages and use crates.
We have more than 200 kittens in foster homes this very second.
Paisley and Heather Woodall have fostered close to 100 cats in 3 years.
We just wanted to do our part to help out, and we love animals anyway, so it's just something that we can do that doesn't take a lot of our time, and it doesn't take any money, just to be helpful and get animals good homes.
Volunteer manager Chloe Hensley says they desperately need volunteers to get animals out to play and walk.
Normally we try to only work our staff members 5 days a week, but we're having to add on a 6th day right now just because we are so overwhelmed with animals and we are short-staffed. We are hiring a couple kennel techs right now.
Staff members say euthanization is not used to save space or time. They have been partnering with shelters throughout the states, but those are full too. Staff members remind, by adopting you can save 2 dogs by giving one home and giving another one a new spot in shelter. In Joplin, Janna Haudala, KOAM News.
The Humane Society staff says since they are at maximum capacity, they will not accept strays, surrenders, or any type of animals unless you set up an appointment by phone. They also encourage residents to come in and look for their animals that may have gotten loose. Well, if you ever wondered what happened to the good old days, just head over to Fort Scott this weekend. The annual Good Old Days celebration kicks off today in Fort Scott, Kansas, with food trucks, crafts, homemade root beer, plenty of activities for kids, and much more. It's a celebration of the past at Fort Scott, and one of this year's organizers gives part of the credit for the celebration to one woman.
Ann Emerson, she passed about a year ago, and fortunately for us, she lived in Pennsylvania, and when she came here, she had this idea that she got from Pennsylvania to have this downtown street fair, and the origination of it was spread out all over Fort Scott, Kansas, and we've condensed it now to downtown.
Good Old Days runs through the weekend. You can join KOAM live from Good Old Days celebration today at noon, 5 and 6 on our live shows. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, play ball. The Joplin Outlaws take to the field in Joe Becker Stadium to begin the defense of their Mink League South Division title against the Des Moines Peak Prospects. Plus, horror icon Robert Englund takes a look back over a decades-long career playing one of the most recognizable movie villains. And a person's risk of having a brain aneurysm could be tied to their family. We've got the details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
On KOAM TV.
Well, the summer baseball season finally hits the field for the Joplin Outlaws. The Outlaws opened their season last night at home against the Des Moines Peak Prospects at Joe Becker Stadium in Joplin. Now, the Outlaws are defending Mink League South Division champions. So starting things off in the top of the first, Missouri Southern Lion Steen Lane on the mound. Gets the strikeout there. Still in the first with runners on. Lane makes them whiff on that. Outlaws get out of the first inning jam. Now we go to the bottom of the first. William Kelly lines this ball up the middle for an RBI single. Colton Reynolds scores. Outlaws score their first run of the season. It's 1-0 Joplin. Later in the inning, same score. Landon Meyer hits this to third. Third baseman can't field it cleanly. Joplin takes advantage. Outlaws go up 2-0. Then to the top of the third, runners on. Lane once again showing off that speed pitch. Strikeout ends the inning. He finishes the night with 5 innings pitched and 4 strikeouts. Game stayed tight, but a Colton Reynolds walk-off single gives the Outlaws a 5-4 win in their season opener. On Thursday, Missouri Southern Lions have a pair of players earning All-American honors from the Conference Commissioners Association. Second baseman Nate Myskowski and pitcher Cole Woods have earned All-America recognition. Myskowski is a second-team All-American. He's the first position player for MSSU to be an All-American since 2019. Myskowski was great all season. He hit .374 with 19 doubles, 14 home runs, and 4 triples while driving in 66 runs. He's previously been named first-team All-Region and first-team All-MIAA. Southern pitcher Cole Woods is an honorable mention All-American. Woods was 10-3 on the mound this season with a .371 ERA, striking out 109 batters in 99 innings pitched. And finally, Game 1 of the NBA Finals tipped off last night in Denver. The Nuggets hosted the Miami Heat in Game 1 of the league's championship series. Miami is the 8th seed out of the East. Denver is the 1 seed out of the West. Nuggets win Game 1, 104-93. Nikola Jokic with another triple-double, 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists. Still to come. Tensions escalate amid attacks on Russian territory, including in Moscow. Russia points the finger at Ukraine, but Ukraine has not claimed responsibility. We've got another warm, muggy day with another round of pop-up storms. We'll take a look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
Nominate your Fort State hero today.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this finally Friday across the 4 states. As we head into this afternoon, we've got ourselves another warm, muggy day with those pop-up thunderstorms. We'll start to see a few of them around the noon hour, and then again, a lot of these remain stationary, as we've noted over the last several days. They may move just a little bit, but they don't move much. But we'll continue to see thunderstorms popping up across the area. You can see a lot of them really focused on the southeast Kansas side. And as we head into the evening, since the pop-up storms rely on that daytime heating, they do begin to kind of wind down as we go into the overnight hours. And then we head into Saturday, and we've actually got better chances of at least organized, meaningful rainfall for parts of southeast Kansas. So here we are at noon. We actually get some decent looking thunderstorms. Now still the possibility of pop-up storms outside of that, but more organized shower and thunderstorm activity expected over parts of southeast Kansas throughout the afternoon, which is great news because, as we know, the drought situation, it's bad everywhere, but it is exceptionally bad for southeast Kansas. So some actual meaningful rainfall will be very beneficial. And that'll last into the evening hours, and then it'll start to wrap up. But the other thing is we will still see some pop-up storms outside of that main batch of activity. And before that main batch of activity gets here, it's going to be another hot one as we head into Saturday. 32nd in range line, MoDOT camera there looking to the west. We're looking good so far. And we're looking all right from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera 7th in range line, still dark outside, but clear skies, warm, muggy, 68. Dew point 61, humidity is at 78%. Temperatures around the region, again, mild, 63 Fort Scott, 65 Chanute, 67 Chatopa, 68 Miami, 67 in Neosho, and 68 in Carthage. As we get our morning started, we'll start off with these mostly clear skies, and we'll go to partly cloudy skies as the morning progresses. A little bit warmer, back into low near mid-80s by late morning, and that pushes our highs upper 80s near 90 across the area. Partly cloudy skies, and it's been like that. We all know that. This has just been a carbon copy every day. Partly cloudy skies, the isolated pop-up thunderstorms across the area. Once they clear out, we remain partly cloudy, mild overnight. Check that out. Our overnight low tonight near 70 degrees, which means tomorrow, warmer, a little closer to 90, maybe even the low 90s as we head into Sunday. More pop-up storms through at least Tuesday. A little cooler on Wednesday, if you could call it that, lower 80s. Back to the mid-80s Thursday with some additional pop-up storm chances. Well, horror fans will learn more about an icon of the genre with the new documentary Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story. Fox News spoke to England about reflecting on his life and career, the perspective it gave him, his Nightmare on Elm Street fame, and what could be next for Freddy Krueger. Here's Ashley Dvorkin.
Fasten your seatbelts.
A horror icon is the center of the new documentary, Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story.
My idea was this was going to be a documentary about an actor in Hollywood that survived. And this week is literally my 50th year starring in movies in Hollywood.
Filmmakers featured interviews with Englund, his co-stars, family, and friends. The doc spans his career as an actor and director in a trip down memory lane with stops at Elm Street.
Before Freddy, post-Freddy. You know, now most of my work is, I do a couple movies a year and maybe a guest star or two, but generally I'm just out there doing voiceovers in my pajamas, which is a lot of fun.
Englund reflected on when he knew Freddy would be such a big part of his life, including with one fan's dedication.
He had a tattoo from his elbows all the way down to his knees, and it was Freddy and Jason wrestling. Now, this is November of 1984, and that's when I kind of knew this is really big.
Given the resurgence of horror franchises, we also talked Freddy's future.
Could Freddy return as well? Would you return?
I would love to be invited to do a cameo if they remake, for instance, Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, which I think if you polled the fans, I think that's the most popular. But I'm too old to play Freddy. They need to find somebody new. I think for a minute there, they were thinking of Kevin Bacon, who I thought would have been brilliant. If they're going to reboot the franchise, they should probably find an actor that can go the distance.
Welcome to Pleasant Valley! In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Who's your favorite horror movie bad guy? Is it Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Pennywise, or maybe someone that's not particularly on that list? You can vote other if you'd like. We want to hear from you. Make sure you vote through our website, through the app, and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will return with Health Watch right after this.
Closer to. Topping Health Watch this morning, millions of Americans are not taking their medications as prescribed, and it's all due to cost. That's according to a new report from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It found that while most adults between the ages of 18 and 64 took at least one prescription medication in 2021, more than 8% of them said they tried to save money by skipping doses, taking less than prescribed, or delaying a prescription fill. That amounts to about 9.2 million people. And although average drug costs did not increase in 2021, the number of prescriptions did, and that has led to increased spending. According to the CDC, more than a third of adults took at least 3 prescription medications in 2021. Well, another person in the U.S. has died from a fungal infection linked to certain medical procedures in Mexico. Thursday, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported a third person has died from a fungal meningitis outbreak. More people could be at risk. Investigators have identified more than 200 U.S. residents who received epidural anesthesia at one of 2 clinics this year in Matamoros, just across the Texas border. Officials say symptoms, including fever and a stiff neck, could take weeks to develop and could be mild at first, but quickly become severe and life-threatening. World Health Organization says it is also monitoring the situation. You can find more information about the outbreak on the CDC's website, as well as the World Health Organization's. If you've been to the doctor's office, you know about the paperwork you have to fill out before you get to see the physician. Questions about your family history or cancer, heart attacks, high blood pressure, diabetes. Each member of your family who has one of these conditions increases your own risk of having it. But there's one condition that doctors do not ask about, and it's the one question that could save your life and the lives of your family members.
God. Faith plays a major role in Ezra Sneed's and Rhonda Baker's lives.
When you trust in the Lord, you just feel good.
These 2 sisters have a lot to be thankful for.
One morning I woke up and my vision was kind of blurry.
An MRI scan showed Rhonda had not 1 but 2 giant brain aneurysms.
So a brain aneurysm is like a bulge, like a stretch on a blood vessel.
Neurosurgeon Richard Hannell was able to snake a catheter from Rhonda's groin to her brain, diverting blood from the aneurysm and stopping it from growing. He was also able to save Rhonda's older sister from the same fate or even worse.
No one can tame the tongue. It was a surprise. I didn't know what an aneurysm was.
Dr. Hannell wants to change that. He's on a mission to spread the word about brain aneurysms and the family connection.
It's very important to educate all the way from primary care physicians to the whole population.
If you have first-degree relatives with a brain aneurysm, your risk of having one goes up from 4 to 6%.
Well, there's a winter snap!
Ezra had the same minimally invasive procedure as her sister, and they're both living proof that it's important to talk about brain aneurysms with your doctor and your family.
MRI scan used to detect brain aneurysms is done on the same machine that's used for an MRI, but it just looks at brain vessels and allows doctors to determine whether to do a procedure or to monitor it. It's vital that you find the aneurysm before it's too late. If it ruptures, you have a 4 out of 10 chance of dying from it, and only about 20% who do survive get back to their full capacity afterwards. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a warm and muggy start for us on this Friday morning, and we've got warmer conditions, muggy conditions, and more pop-up storms. Talk about that in the forecast coming up.
Right now at 5:30, the Quapaw Nation deploys a multi-million-dollar grant to build a family services department for the community.
It's warm and it's muggy this morning. It will be warmer and still muggy this afternoon with more pop-up storms ahead of us. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And grab your clubs and head out to Lamar, Missouri, where the love of the game of golf can be felt by everyone.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:30 on the dot. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have got a muggy start for us out there this morning, and it is warm. And we've got more pop-up storms for us today as well. So it's just that's been the trend. It's almost like a July weather pattern that just kind of started a little bit early, because we get into July and we start to see those afternoon pop-up storms, but we're getting them a little bit early. So let's take a look at the future track as we head to about the noon hour today. We'll start to see a handful of isolated pop-up storms, and as the afternoon progresses, as we've gone over, these pop-up storms feed on the heating of the day, so we'll start to see a few more of them scattered around the region. You can see the greater concentration in southeast Kansas, but there will still be some in other areas. And of course, once the sun goes down, we head into the evening, they lose their energy and they begin to die out. Then we'll head into Saturday, and Saturday, at least right now and has been for the last couple of days, looks like some pretty good news for parts of southeast Kansas. Now the good news is for everybody, we're still not anticipating any strong or severe thunderstorms with this activity, which is great. But we head into noon, we get some thunderstorms going, pop-up storms roughly east of Highway 7 for the rest of us. But if you are west of 7, maybe even just up to the 69 corridor, more organized, meaningful rainfall in southeast Kansas. Now, I know majority of the area is in a drought situation, but we know too that southeast Kansas is experiencing some of the most extreme drought conditions. So meaningful rainfall is going to be very beneficial, and that's what we'll get as we head through Saturday afternoon. Now, as the evening progresses, that will clear out, but at least there's an opportunity for some good rainfall out there as we head into Saturday. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line looking good so far. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. And our camera at 7th in range line. We've got some clear skies, a couple of clouds out there, 68. Dew point up there at 61, humidity 78%, so the air is a bit on the thick side, and it will stay that way as we go through the day. Sit at 63, Fort Scott, Iola, 65 in Chinook, Chatopa, 66 Miami, and 67 in Lamar. As we get our morning started, we'll initially start with these mostly clear skies, and we'll build into partly cloudy skies throughout the morning and the afternoon. Look at this, 83 by late morning. Highs today, upper 80s, near 90 across the area, still partly cloudy, and that'll kind of be the trend. And then some of those pop-up storms out there, and those pop-up storms die out this evening and leave us with a mild overnight as we drop back into the upper 60s, near 70 for overnight lows. It's going to be another hot one this weekend as well, and there's still some more pop-up storm chances. We'll take a look at your full forecast and that 7-day here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All All right, thanks, Chris. Quapaw Nation will use a $2 million HUD grant to build an addition to the Kaihoto Justice Center. It's to house the Family Services Department. Expanding the center will provide more resources to the community.
I think we're going to hopefully start breaking ground maybe in the fall, maybe. We have 2 or 3 months to get like the paperwork filed and get our plan laid out, all of those things before we can start actually building the building and making sure that all of the plans are the way that I envision them to be.
The Ottawa Tribe of Oklahoma and Modoc Nation Miami also received a $2 million each. The Peoria Tribe of Oklahoma gets more than $1.1 million. Music in the Park kicks off at Forest Park in Parsons, Kansas. The Community Orchestra performed the first concert of the series. The event brings music lovers together to enjoy a variety of music throughout June and July.
Something for everybody. We'll have country, rock, gonna have a great 80s. We're gonna finish it up in July with Members Only, one of the most popular 80s cover bands there is.
There'll be concerts every Thursday through July. Block Party kicked off Thursday afternoon. This year's theme, All Together Now. It celebrates kindness, friendship, and community. The party is also the grand opening of the new library courtyard, which was funded through the Pittsburgh Public Library Foundation.
Renovated our existing courtyard because it had brick pavers, and anybody with mobility issues couldn't use that area. It had no shade and had no furniture, so we took all those things into effect, and we created this new courtyard, and we think it'll be really a nice place for our community.
All right, and for the kiddos, the Southeast Kansas Princesses made an appearance. Oh, they're my favorite. There was all sorts of fun, including live polka music, bingo, and a book walk. Did I tell you how much I like polka? Oh yeah. To kick off the block party, art appeared underfoot outside the Pittsburgh Public Library. On Thursday, teenage artists had 4 hours to come up with their best creations using chalk on 5-foot by 5-foot sections of sidewalk. It's one of many ways to get young people and the community involved in library activities.
The library actually has a lot of different art programs, and so we like to do those whenever we can. And it's a great day too. It's kind of fun to kick the summer off with something like this.
Artists entering grades 6 through 12 could work individually or in teams of 2. Everyone attending the block party got to vote on their favorite, with a gift certificate going to the winner. A golf course in Lamar, Missouri, and the young man it's named after is proving to everyone that it does not matter who you are. The game of golf can be played and enjoyed by anyone. Jeremy's Creek Golf Course, named after Jeremy Marty, embraces the love of the game and the idea that no matter who you are, you can enjoy a day on the course.
Not golf, not us, my life. My dog sits me in golf and kid.
Jeremy is just being around him, he gives you a just fun environment. Just you can be yourself around him, and it's awesome to see.
Jeremy continues to work on the course and play the game every day, and hopes to share his love of the game with everyone he meets. Well, this morning we're discussing horror movie icons.
I'm starting to think we've got some horror movie fans here, because horror movies come up a lot in our morning talker, and my wife is probably in love with that. Robert Englund has a career that spans decades, and that's just playing one character. The horror movie legend behind A Nightmare on Elm Street's Freddy Krueger talked about his life and career in the new documentary Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story.
And while the actor has performed roles other than Freddy, it's the horrible haunter of nightmares that he's most remembered and beloved for. But is he the all-time great horror movie bad guy?
Well, you see, that's our question for you this morning. We want to know, who is your favorite horror movie bad guy? Is it Freddy Krueger? Is it Jason, Michael Myers, Pinhead, Pennywise, or maybe somebody else? So make sure you take time to vote. You saw that little green bar. Sometimes, things don't always play out, but we will have the results for this for you at some point this morning. But we do want to know. And make sure you share who your favorite horror movie icon is on our Facebook page.
And a good friend of mine informed me, but not this weekend, but next weekend, The Boogeyman's coming out. So There'll be
Now,
another
hold up.
big
So,
horror
are
movie.
we talking The Boogeyman, the movie, or is there one in this person's house that's going to start terrorizing local towns? Because the way you phrased it initially, The Boogeyman is coming out.
Well, she asked me to go to the movies and see it. So,
Okay.
or maybe she told me it was coming out and I told her I was going to the movies with her to see it.
So there's a boogeyman in her house, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Ghostbusters can't help with the boogeyman, I don't think, though.
Well,
because
who are
he's
you
not a
going to
ghost.
call then?
I do not. Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger and go get the book. There we go. That's what you do.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, we're going to introduce you to this year's Spelling Bee champion. Can you spell one smart 14-year-old?
Plus, one of the world's best soccer players calls it quits for his club team in Paris. Could he be on his way to America? We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, one of the deadliest climbing seasons on Mount Everest has come to an end. Nepal tourism officials say a total of 12 people died. 5 more are missing after this spring's climb. Officials say of the 12 people who died on Everest, 4 are Nepalese and 8 are foreigners. And of the 5 missing, 3 are Nepalese and 2 foreigners. Paris Saint-Germain coach Christophe Galtier has confirmed that Lionel Messi will be leaving the club at the end of the season. Galtier has said in a press conference that the World Cup winner will play his last game at the Parc des Princes this weekend in the final league game of the season against Clermont. Messi moved to Paris 2 years ago from Barcelona, winning the French league in both seasons. Messi's next destination is yet to be confirmed, although there have been major links made with a potential move to Saudi Arabia. And a conservative think tank will appear in a federal court next week to challenge Prince Harry's U.S. visa, citing revelations about drug use in his recent book. Heritage Foundation is requesting that Prince Harry's immigration documents be unsealed. The conservative group is suing the U.S. government to find out if it acted according to procedure when it granted the Duke of Sussex a U.S. visa. The case will go before a federal judge on June 6th at the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. Harry most recently confessed to taking various recreational party drugs in his explosive memoir, Spare, which was published in January. Under U.S. immigration law, evidence of past drug use can be grounds to reject an application. Well, tensions are escalating amid attacks on Russian territory, including in Moscow. Russia is blaming Ukraine for the attacks, but Ukraine has not claimed responsibility. Sam Kiley reports.
Ukraine's not claiming responsibility for these attacks inside Russia. But if Kiev gets blamed, that's just fine. There's more to come.
А воно і вже, дивіться, воно не вот-вот, воно вже йде.
The number of incidents is constantly increasing, not only in the border areas, but also in the depths of Russia. It's already happening. The scale will be exponential.
Here, an oil refinery in Russia's far south is set aflame, while along Ukraine's northern border with its invader, civilian areas are hit by shelling. Apartments riddled with shrapnel, commonplace in Ukraine, a new experience for Russians. Ukraine's new strategy is taking shape inside Russia. Drone and artillery attacks have hit Russian targets in an arc along its Ukrainian border provinces of Bryansk, Kursk, Belgorod, Voronezh and Krasnodar. And Moscow's not been spared either. On the deck of a Royal Navy warship, key Ukrainian ally, the United Kingdom, gave Kyiv a green light to attack Russia.
Legitimate military targets beyond its own border are part of Ukraine's self-defense, and we should recognise that.
In response, former Russian president and close Putin ally Dmitry Medvedev claimed on Twitter that as the UK is in an undeclared war against Russia, any British official could be considered as a legitimate military target. Now that would be an escalation even Vladimir Putin might resist.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this finally Friday. In the 4 states, it's definitely a Friday because I forgot it was time for weather. But the good news is the weather computer didn't, and it's ready to go. We've got another warm, muggy day for us. Pop-up storms as we head toward the noon hour. They're going to be very isolated initially. As we head into the afternoon, they will become more scattered. I've been telling people we could just take yesterday's weathercast and put it here, or the one from the day before, because this has just been repeating. We go into the evening, of course, pop-up storms start to die out. And as we mentioned, they rely on the heating of the day for their energy. But what is great about tomorrow, I know the entire region is suffering from drought, but we all know too that southeast Kansas is really in some extreme drought conditions. And as we head into the noon hour and into the afternoon on Saturday, we've got opportunities for meaningful rainfall, more organized showers and thunderstorms. And the better part is, at least at this point, we're not anticipating any severe weather, which is what we don't need. We don't need the hail. We don't need the gusty winds or a tornado threat. We just need the rain. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow afternoon across parts of southeast Kansas. And I know good old days is going on. Some of these pop-up storms, because we'll see those elsewhere, could make it into Fort Scott. So do be prepared for that if you're going to good old days this weekend. Otherwise, that will clear back out. Quick look at the MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line. We're looking good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. Our camera showing a few clouds out there. Otherwise, not bad. 68, muggy, dew point 61, humidity 78%. So we look around the region at temperatures, 65 Nevada, Pittsburgh, 66 Parsons, 67 Chetopa, Miami, and Neosho, and 68 in Carthage. We get our morning started. We'll start sunny, then go partly cloudy as we head into the afternoon, and we'll warm into the lower 80s. Highs today pushing near 90 degrees. We'll be near 90 tomorrow, 92 Sunday. More pop-up storms all the way through Tuesday. A little cooler on Wednesday, low 80s, mid-upper 80s, lower 90s as we head into next weekend, and opportunities for pop-up storms return. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
The winner of the 2023 Scripps National Spelling Bee is crowned. 14-year-old Dev Shaw is taking home more than $50,000 in cash and prizes after nailing his final word, Samophile. Here's Jared Hill with more.
I don't need to spell it out for you.
Davila means listlessly. It's used in Scotland.
Oh my God.
Spelling at this level, with this pressure of the final round of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, is hard. But after 15 rounds and 11 amazing finalists, only one could come out on top.
Dev Shaw, if you spell this next word correctly, we will declare you the 2023 National Spelling Bee champion.
The word Samophile, an organism that thrives in sandy soils. Dev Shaw from the Tampa Bay, Florida region with a quiet confidence.
Phile meaning lover, Greek.
You're on the right track. Nailed it.
P-S-A-M-M-O-P-H-I-L-E, Samophile?
That is correct. The 14-year-old is now the champion of the 2023 Scripps National Spelling Bee. After years of trying, and at one point even thinking of throwing in the towel, Dev is the definition of determination. He can probably spell it too. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Jared, you got it right. Now spell KOAM. Dev said his plan is to sleep now. Second place winner Charlotte Walsh from Arlington, Virginia is taking home $25,000. So what words are eligible for the spelling bee? Scripps says with the exception of words designated as archaic or obsolete, any entry in Merriam-Webster's unabridged dictionary is fair game. We'll be right back. Mars could be the internet's next big influencer. The Red Planet is making its live streaming debut on YouTube today. European Space Agency says it will stream an hour of the first live images taken directly from Mars. The event celebrates the 20th anniversary of the launch of the agency's Mars Express, which is a mission to take 3D images of the planet's surface. While the agency is calling it a live stream, It'll not be truly live from Mars. The ESA estimates it takes about 17 minutes for the light needed to form the images to travel from Mars to Earth, and then another minute to make it to servers on the ground. Just a little delay. They hope to stream a new image about every 50 seconds. The ESA says it will have the stream up on its YouTube channel starting at noon Eastern time. That means 11 o'clock, folks, today, 11 a.m. Meanwhile, back on planet Earth, personal items that belong to actor Paul Newman and his wife Joanne Woodward are going up for auction this week. The collection totals more than 300 items they accumulated during their famously passionate 50-plus year marriage. It includes items like engraved Rolex watches, Woodward's wedding dress, and quirky furniture such as a tin bench shaped like a pig. Why not? Newman, famous for his roles in films like Cool Hand Luke and The Color of Money, died in 2008. Woodward, who won the Academy Award for Best Actress for The Three Faces of Eve in 1958, is 93 years old and has been living with Alzheimer's disease since 2007.
Quick look at that forecast for you. We'll start with mostly clear skies, transition to partly cloudy, warm, muggy, lower 80s by late morning, upper 80s near 90 today, partly cloudy, isolated thunderstorms, those pop-up storms later this afternoon into the evening. We drop back to a mild 67, partly cloudy overnight once the storms die down. Better storm chances in southeast Kansas tomorrow, pop-up storms elsewhere near 90, 92 Sunday, pop-up storms through Tuesday, and temperatures in the upper 80s.
We're here to help.
Right now at 6, Missouri Governor Mike Parson signs an executive order to get drought relief to the Show Me State.
We're a bit warm, a bit muggy out there this morning, and we're going to be warmer and still muggy this afternoon with more pop-up storms. We'll talk about that forecast coming up.
And state after state across the nation reports a shortage of lifeguards, but the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center says they've got plenty.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, and we begin with some developing news this morning. I've just learned that Tanya may have consumed the last of the coffee.
No, there's still another cup at least left.
There better be some more coffee left. You folks at home know what we're talking about. You got to have that coffee to start the day. And if there's no coffee left, we may not have a weather forecast the rest of the day, so you might want to tape this one. I'm just kidding. Of course, I'll stay here, but I'm going to go looking for coffee, and we're going to go looking for warmer weather and more pop-up storms this afternoon. We head into the noon hour. There's some pop-up storms across the area, and we'll continue to see them like we've seen because they feed off of the daytime heating. They'll be scattered across the area as we go through the afternoon and evening hours, and then, of course, as the sun sets and we lose that daytime heating, they'll begin to die out overnight, leaving us partly cloudy. And then, this is what's great. We know the whole area is in a drought. Southeast Kansas still dealing with some extreme drought conditions. And as we head to noon, we're looking at pop-up storms for roughly the 69 corridor and east, but 69 and west. As the afternoon progresses, we're looking at better chances of actual meaningful rainfall out there from some organized showers and thunderstorms. And the other good news is, at least right now, we're not anticipating any severe weather. We're just looking at some much needed rain across the area. So that is great news. It's still not going to be enough, but anything's better than nothing. MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line looks good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. And as we take a look at our camera at 7th and range line, got a few clouds out there. Otherwise, not a bad start to the day. Muggy, though. We're at 67, dew point 61, humidity up to 81%. The calm breeze. Around the region, warm, muggy. 62 Fort Scott, 64 Pittsburgh, 66 Parsons, 68 Independence, 66 Miami, Neosho, and 67 in Carthage. Get our morning started. We're going to start with the mostly clear skies, and then we'll transition to partly cloudy skies, as we've done over the last few days, into the low 80s by late morning. Highs today, upper 80s, pushing near 90. Muggy out there, partly cloudy. Then we'll get those isolated thunderstorm chances through the afternoon into the evening hours. Those clear out, and they leave us partly cloudy and mild tonight, near 70 for our overnight low. Near 90 tomorrow, low 90 Sunday. Pop-up storms through at least Tuesday, and temperatures remaining mid to upper 80s, and again, some of us near that 90-degree mark. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Neosho community mourns the life of a teenager killed in a crash. The crash happened in Newton County Thursday morning on Missouri 86 near Baxter Avenue. Authorities say 18-year-old Sydney Humphreys died at the scene after her car crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. She was the daughter of a former Neosho police officer and had graduated from Neosho High School just 2 weeks ago. 2 other people were in the other car. The other driver, 37-year-old Ellen Anderson of Neosho, and a 4-year-old boy were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Police in Parsons, Kansas are searching for a man who they say was involved in several incidents on Wednesday, including an exchange of gunfire. That man is Stederish Herman. Authorities say on Wednesday morning he used a hatchet to destroy a vehicle and then committed another criminal damage incident at a different location before leading police on a chase. He escaped, but was later identified as one of the suspects in an exchange of gunfire that hit multiple homes, a vehicle, and a business. Again, he fled the scene, but he left behind his sister, Bernia Herman, who was arrested and charged with aiding and abetting attempted murder in the first degree. If you have any information about Herman's location, you are asked to call police. Missouri Governor Mike Parsons signs an executive order declaring a drought alert in the state. It's the first step in Missouri's drought plan, which allows the governor to direct state agencies to better provide resources and assistance to Missourians in need. The Missouri Drought Assessment Committee is now active and will meet for the first time next week. The U.S. Drought Monitor indicates that all or portions of 60 Missouri counties are experiencing moderate, severe, or extreme drought conditions. And the Quapaw Nation will use a $2 million HUD grant to build an addition to the Kaihoto Justice Center. It's to house the Family Services Department. Expanding the center will provide more resources to the community.
So if you have, let's say you have a client that comes in and they go over to the courts and they file a PO for domestic violence, they can walk right across the hall or right across the yard once the building's built, and they can come and get services through our domestic violence services. So that gives them an advocate to help them and support them, someone to walk along the line with them.
The Ottawa Tribe of Oklahoma and Modoc Nation Miami will also receive $2 million each. The Peoria Tribe of Oklahoma gets more than $1.1 million. The Senate has also passed the House debt ceiling bill, beating the U.S. Treasury's predicted date that the U.S. would run out of money to pay its bills by just 4 days. The president plans to address the nation later this evening on the passage of the bill, which he says he will sign as soon as possible. Jared Hill has more on how the vote unfolded.
The bill is passed.
Overnight, the Senate approved the agreement to suspend the nation's debt limit, averting what could have been a catastrophic default.
We may be a little tired, but we did it. So we're very, very happy.
Final passage came after a marathon of votes on 11 amendments, all of which failed. 31 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 1 independent joined together in voting against the bill, which also slashes some federal spending in exchange for suspending the debt limit through January 2025.
I know in divided government is tough, but don't tell me that this is the best we could do.
Meanwhile, those who supported the bill acknowledged their yes was tough, but necessary.
As painful as some of the decisions that will come from this agreement reach, they are virtually at this point inevitable to avoid default on our debt.
In a statement, President Biden said the passage of the bipartisan deal is a, quote, big win for our economy and the American people. Now, the bill is headed to the president's desk, and he says he'll sign it as soon as possible. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Legislation also officially ends a student loan repayment freeze that has been in place during the pandemic, imposes stricter work requirements for food stamps, claws back some funding from the IRS and unspent COVID relief funds, and speeds up new energy projects. Republican Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee was absent and was the lone senator who did not vote. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. A lifeguard shortage is affecting community pools across much of the nation, but not in Pittsburgh. According to CBS News, the national lifeguard shortage is affecting community pools, and a majority of them across the country are closed due to a lack of lifeguards. However, that's not the case for the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center. The pool manager says they're not hurting for lifeguards like other communities.
Yes, we've definitely had people from surrounding communities come in. If you take a walk through our parking lot, you see like different Missouri tags, Oklahoma, a whole bunch of different area coming and joining us.
Love the Pittsburgh pool. Pittsburgh Aquatic Center must have 22 lifeguards to operate, and they currently have 33. It's a lot of fun there. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the benefits of exercise for cancer survivors.
The importance of exercise for cancer survivors. I'm Naomi Ruckham with how staying active can help body and mind.
Plus, while conservative lawmakers across the nation push to ban books, one blue state governor pushes back with a warning to his state's school administrators. And Chris has another look at your Friday forecast and just how hot will the weekend get. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Galena, Kansas, where Galena Days is kicking off this weekend.
Get free labor.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the city of Davenport, Iowa plans to update the public on its recovery efforts in the wake of the building collapse. City officials have scheduled a news conference on the collapse today. On Thursday, they announced a demolition company will assist with recovery efforts at the site of what's left of the building. The company will help Task Force 1 of the U.S. Army Reserve as the team searches for those still missing after part of the building fell last Sunday. According to officials, search and cadaver dogs have been brought to the site, and as of Thursday, 3 people who lived in the crash zone were unaccounted for. An 8th grader from Largo, Florida has won the 95th annual Scripps National Spelling Bee. The winner was 14-year-old Deb Shaw from Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School. The winning word was Samophile, which is, Chris, an organism that likes to live in sandy soil. For spelling that successfully, Shaw will take home $50,000. 11 students made the finals after 11 million entered spelling competitions throughout the world to qualify. And a judge in New Mexico approves a settlement of a wrongful death lawsuit filed by the family of the Rust movie cinematographer Helena Hutchins' family. Had filed a wrongful death lawsuit against actor Alec Baldwin and other producers, as well as key crew members and the film's production company. The suit alleges numerous industry standard violations happened on the set, where Hutchins was shot and killed with a prop gun held by Baldwin in 2021. Settlement was reached in October of last year, but it was subject to court approval. No financial details have been released. California Governor Gavin Newsom and other state officials have a stern warning to school administrators: do not follow red states' leads when it comes to banning books. In a letter issued Thursday, the officials say the removal of materials in some cases may, quote, constitute unlawful discrimination. As Tom Waite reports, some parents have come out in support of the letter.
Republican leaders, they're banning books.
Governor Gavin Newsom ran this commercial last summer in Florida, blasting Republicans for limiting what could be taught in schools there.
Restricting speech in classrooms.
With the launch of Pride Month today, the governor, along with the state attorney general and the state superintendent, sent out this letter to superintendents and school administrators across California, warning them not to remove instructional materials. The letter reads in part, access to books, including books that reflect the diverse experiences and perspectives of Californians, and especially those that may challenge us to grapple with uncomfortable truths, is a profound freedom we all must protect and cultivate. The letter has the support of some parents, including LAUSD mom Jenna Schwartz, who helped create a group called Parents Supporting Teachers.
I think that our governor and the AG are looking at what's happening in these red states, and we can see the future. We know what happens when you dilute education for children. They become uneducated adults.
The issue of sexual orientation has become a flashpoint at Satakoy Elementary School, where a pride flag was recently found burned. The school is also dealing with the fallout of an assembly scheduled for tomorrow, where a reading is supposed to happen that mentions same-sex couples. Parents say they should be in charge of when their kids learn about potentially sensitive subjects.
I feel that is something that I should tell my kids, not the school, not the teachers. I watch the words that I tell my kids. I don't know how they're going to tell my kids.
In Newsom's letter, he cites more than 1,400 book bans across the country as one of the reasons for his warning to districts not to put limits on issues that can be taught. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Now we've got ourselves another warm and muggy day with some afternoon pop-up thunderstorms across the area. We'll take a complete look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Sesquicentennial, a celebration like no other.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this finally Friday across the 4 states. So we've got another warm, muggy start. We have another warm, muggy day for us, and we have more pop-up storms as we head into the afternoon. So let's take a look at the future track. As we go into the noon hour, we got a few stray showers out in our far western counties, and we'll start to see those pop-up storms get going. And as they've been the last few days, they'll be mostly stationary. They might try and move around a little bit, but for the most part, they'll just kind of fire up and then die on top of themselves and maybe even regenerate here and there. But these pop-up storms will occur through the afternoon and into the evening hours before we start to lose daytime heating, and we'll start to see the majority of them die away as we head into the late evening and overnight hours. Now, tomorrow is a pretty good day for folks in southeast Kansas dealing with the extreme drought. As I've mentioned, we're well aware the entire area is experiencing drought conditions, but we know that good portions of southeast Kansas still dealing with severe to extreme drought conditions. And as we head into tomorrow afternoon, roughly along and to the east of the 69 corridor, we'll see some afternoon pop-up storms. But if you're along and west of the 69 corridor, we start with some pop-up storms, and as you see as the afternoon progresses, we're looking at much more organized shower and thunderstorm activity across parts of southeast Kansas, maybe even stretching back into parts of northeast Oklahoma, bringing some actual meaningful rainfall, not just this pop-up shower that drops a little bit of rain and dies. We're talking really good rainfall. As the afternoon progresses, this will continue. Here we are at 4, so we've got more shower and thunderstorm activity, and then of course as the evening progresses, we lose that daytime heating, the storms will start to die out, but we're finally going to get at least some meaningful rainfall in parts of southeast Kansas. It won't be a lot. It's not going to be enough to help with the drought significantly, but any rain's better than no rain. The other good news is we're not anticipating any strong to severe thunderstorm activity today or tomorrow. And that's the last thing we need out there is any severe thunderstorms. So that's good news so far. Right now, MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line, looking to the west. You can see the sunlight on the buildings out there as it begins to rise across the area. Starting to get a little sunlight now from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400. You can always tell when the sun rises because this signal here, because it's a little taller, you'll start to see the reflection on there before we see more sunlight across the area. And here's a look at that gorgeous sunrise from our camera at 7th and range line. It looks like one of those landscape paintings out there. Sitting at 67, mostly clear. There are a few clouds, but not many out there. It is muggy. Dew points up to 61 and humidity's at 81% in Joplin, and it's muggy across the region this morning. A little cooler up north, 61 Fort Scott, 62 in Iola, 65 Pittsburgh, Chetopa, 69 in Independence, 66 Miami, 67 Neosho, and 66 in Lamar. So we get our morning started. Again, we'll start off mostly clear, and then we'll transition to partly cloudy skies like we've been doing. Warm, muggy, low 80s by late morning. Highs today, upper 80s, pushing near 90 out there. Partly cloudy skies continue. Then we'll see some of those scattered pop-up thunderstorms as we go into the afternoon and evening hours. Those will die out. We'll be left with partly cloudy skies overnight. We'll stay warm and muggy overnight as well. I mean, look at this. 67. We're near 70 for our overnight low tonight, so very warm out there for this time of year. Tomorrow, near 90 again, some pop-up storms, and of course, better chances in southeast Kansas. Low 90s Sunday, pop-up storm chances through Tuesday. Temperatures mid to upper 80s. A little cooler on Wednesday, low 80s. Pop-up storm chances return by Thursday through next weekend, and temperatures climb again. We go into the upper 80s and into the lower 90s as we head toward the end of next week. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
topping Health Watch this morning. Adolescents who show signs of being dependent on alcohol are more likely to develop depression by their mid-20s. A new study by British researchers looked at nearly 4,000 young people in England. It found those who could not stop drinking, could not function normally while drinking, or had memory loss from drinking, among other factors, had a higher risk of depression several years later. Although millions of fewer Americans are smoking cigarettes, there is less progress for some racial and ethnic groups. A new study from the CDC finds that between 2011 and 2020, adult cigarette smokers dropped by more than 13 million. However, the percentage of smokers did not drop as drastically for Asian American adults and did not drop at all for American Indian communities. And America's water supply has enough fluoride to help prevent cavities. That's according to a recent report from the CDC, which analyzed community water systems from 2016 to 2021. The report found nearly 100% of water sources had a safe level of fluoride, though about 16% were below the optimal level. Well, National Cancer Survivors Day is this Sunday, June 4th. More than 18 million people in the U.S. are living with a history of cancer. Exercise is recommended for survivors before, during, and after cancer treatment. Naomi Ruckham introduces us to a group taking it step by step.
These women meet every week to walk and talk.
I'm out and I'm just being normal. I don't have to think about my disease. I don't have to think about my next treatment.
They're all cancer survivors. 9 years ago, Mimi Schneer was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and is currently in treatment for her 5th recurrence. She says walking helps in many ways.
And sometimes we do talk about the disease, and that's okay too, because now we're sharing information.
The walking group is just one of several programs offered by the Nancy Marks Cancer Wellness Center.
And for cancer survivors, it's really important to walk every day.
Susan Stein is a cancer wellness social worker.
Research shows that the direct impact that physical exercise has on your mental and physical health, reducing anxiety and depression, reducing side effects from treatment.
The American Cancer Society recommends survivors avoid inactivity and return to normal activities as soon as possible after diagnosis and treatment. Take part in regular physical activity, start slowly, and build up over time.
When you go through a diagnosis and a treatment and a lot of other things in your life, you don't always have control. So it's just something that we can do for ourselves.
Pamela Goldstein was diagnosed with an aggressive breast cancer in 2017. She didn't exercise during her initial treatment, but recommends it.
One step at a time. It sounds so cliche, but it's the smallest thing. I mean, even to come here and walk for a half an hour, you know, you make a connection.
Getting in their steps and getting support. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
The American Cancer Society recommends survivors also include resistance training and stretching exercises at least 2 days a week. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a warm and muggy start across the area. Got a beautiful sunrise, though. A few clouds out there, sitting at 67 in Joplin, 2.61, humidity 81%. Quick look at temperatures around the area. Warm start for most of us. A little cooler to the north, 61 in Fort Scott, 62 Iola, 66 Yates Center and Parsons, as well as Miami, 65 Chetopa, 67 in Neosho, and sitting at 68 in Carthage. As we get our morning started, we'll initially start with mostly clear skies, just a few clouds out there. Then we'll transition to those partly cloudy skies. We'll stay muggy and we'll stay warm. And as we head into the late morning, temperatures making it into the lower 80s. We'll have another look at your full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now it's 6:30. The good old days are here again, and you can find them on Friday and Saturday in Fort Scott, Kansas.
We've got a warm and muggy start across the area, warm and muggy through the day with more pop-up storms. We'll talk about the forecast coming up.
And KOAM's Anthony Saviolo takes us to Lamar, Missouri to shoot a few rounds of golf with an inspiring young man.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:31. Although your weather clock says 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. I've noticed the weather clock seems to be a little bit slow compared to other times because...
Well, normally we have a clock on the screen, and that's what I go off of, so I've tried to find different things to look at today, and I looked up there, it said 6:30, down here it says 6:31, so who knows?
It's somewhere right around that time frame. Ron says it's currently 6:31. So we're going to go with it as currently 6:31. We got a warm and muggy start across the area. We've got more pop-up storms in our forecast for this afternoon as well. As we head to the noon hour, we got a few showers in our western counties. We'll start to see those pop-up storms develop as we head through the afternoon because, again, they feed off that daytime heating, so that's what's going to get them going. As we head through the evening, they'll start to die out progressively across the area, and they'll be left for the most part with partly cloudy skies, still warm and muggy as we go into the overnight. Tomorrow, though, we got more meaningful rainfall as we head into southeast Kansas, roughly west of 69, and even into parts of northeast Oklahoma. By the afternoon, a good match of showers and thunderstorms across the area here, and this will hold on for at least 2, maybe 3 hours across the area, so that'll be some good meaningful rainfall, and it will certainly be beneficial for folks out there as well. We're going to be looking at highs near 90 today, muggy as well. We'll take another full look at your forecast here in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, Jeremy Marty, a young man in Lamar, Missouri, is showing everyone his love for the game of golf. KOAM's Anthony Saviolo has the story.
Jeremy's Creek Golf Course is more than just your average course. Sure, it has freshly cut greens and beautiful ponds, but what makes this course special is Jeremy himself.
Not golf, not us, not house, my dog. Since me and golfing kid.
Jeremy, aka J-Dog, has been golfing since he was 3 years old. He got the name J-Dog from a popular music artist many might recognize.
Toby Mac, that's awesome, brother. Golf camp.
Toby Mac gave Jeremy his nickname at a youth golf camp and has played with J-Dog multiple times since then. Jeremy spends every morning mowing the course. At noon, you can catch him at the course restaurant, and at 1 o'clock, it's tea time.
How long has your dad owned the course?
4.
4 years? And you're loving every minute of it, right?
Yes.
Tanner Phipps, the course general manager, not only enjoys being around Jeremy every day, but also says the improvements the Marty family have made has brought new life to the town of Lamar.
It has changed so much. It's crazy on how much they have put into this course, and I think membership-wise, you can definitely tell.
If you're thinking you can outshoot the champ of the course, think again, because J-Dog will putt circles around anyone who steps on the green.
Has he ever beat you in golf?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time.
So next time you're out here at Jeremy's Creek, make sure to say hi to J-Dog. Reporting from Lamar, Missouri, I'm Anthony Saviolo.
For more information on the course and Jeremy himself, be sure to follow the course on Facebook and visit their website. Well, Joplin Humane Society's kennels are getting more and more full. The Humane Society staff says they're currently at full capacity, which tends to happen this time of year. Staff says the shelter can house about 450 animals, but they currently have over 670 animals in care. Workers say the shelter is currently very lucky to have more than 200 kittens in foster homes, but more help from the community is needed to foster, volunteer, and adopt.
We are so full that we are having to double up on cages, and we're even having to use crates right now, which is really tough on the dogs because they're only getting out maybe 3 or 4 times a day to exercise, and it's not fair to them. So we're really needing the public's help.
Humane Society staff says since they are at maximum capacity, they will not accept strays, surrenders, or any type of animals unless you set up an appointment by phone. They also encourage residents to come in and look for their animals that may have gotten loose. We've got something a little different this week. KOAM's Shannon Becker is attending the Missouri Broadcasters Conference at the Lake of the Ozarks, where he has been nominated for an award. But he did leave us with the big 3 news stories of the week.
It's a KOAM Morning News. I'm Shannon Becker. Friday means the big 3 stories of the week. What's live and breaking? We've got them for you right now. Number 3, a story we broke yesterday. Tipsters told us Hardee's had shuttered their doors at 818 South Range Line. And it's true, closed. Thank you for visiting us. Unfortunately, this location is no longer in operation. Employees there on the scene declined to comment with us. We did call the office number, manages locations here in the region, and did not get a message back. It was about 6 weeks ago that 18th and Main Street in Joplin closed after 37 years in business. A story will continue to follow. Number 2, Joplin News First, live and breaking news. A motorcycle and SUV collide at Newman Road and Duquesne Road. And the SUV then continues on about 500 feet, then crashing into a building on Missouri Southern State University campus. Both motorcycle operator and the driver of that SUV suffered critical injuries and were rushed to area hospitals. One had to be transported onto Springfield, still in critical care. More information on that story at KOAM News Now. And the number 1 live and breaking story of the week. What was that in the sky the other night? Well, it was SpaceX. We were able to tell you about it, also share some video. It's from our friend Greg Ewing in Carterville. He found it on his Ring doorbell camera. See right there at the top of the screen. John Cotton, just south of Joplin, captured this. SpaceX returning to Earth from the space station. It's our big 3 stories of the week. What's live and breaking every Friday right here on the KOAM Morning News. I'm Shannon Becker.
SpaceX return was pretty cool to see. We'll expect to see Shannon here next Friday at his usual time for the next week's Big 3 news stories, and hopefully with a brand new award he can tell us about. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Your future cab ride may come without one big detail, a cab driver. Buckle up as we take you for a ride in a driverless taxi.
But first, we'll have another look at that forecast. The warm and muggy conditions continue, as well as an opportunity for some pop-up storms. We'll take a look at that. But first, here's another live look from Galena ahead of Galena Days. We'll be right back.
Warren Homes 4 days of savings store-wide. Get free.
In Consumer Watch this morning, today is National Donut Day. Several major chains are giving away free donuts while supplies last. Duck Donuts is giving away a free cinnamon donut. No purchase necessary, while Dunkin' will give you any donut of your choice free with the purchase of a beverage. Krispy Kreme is also giving away any donut of your choice, no purchase necessary. Well, something may be missing from your future cab ride. A driver. App-based Waymo is leading the way and just announced a partnership with Uber. Chris Van Cleve climbs in for a driverless ride.
Robert Stone and Sheila Zagloski are trying out Waymo's ride-hailing service that just expanded to include their Tempe, Arizona retirement community. Their car arrives without a person in the driver's seat.
We love it. It's going to replace a car for us sooner than later.
In 2018, CBS Mornings cameras were the first allowed to ride in a fully autonomous Waymo. Then, the service was limited to a select few early adopters, and each gas-powered minivan arrived with a human safety driver on board. After more than 1 million driverless miles and no reported injuries, Waymo is seen as the industry leader, having expanded its footprint in Phoenix, adding service in San Francisco, and soon to parts of Los Angeles. Those minivans have been replaced with a fleet of all-electric Jaguars.
The Waymo driver never gets drowsy. It doesn't get distracted.
Adam Lenz is Waymo's head of sustainability.
Would you say the cars perform as well or better than a human driver?
I would say that I really trust this technology and that when you're in the car, you feel entirely safe.
In March, 68% of drivers told AAA they were afraid of autonomous vehicles, though truly self-driving cars are operating in only a handful of cities across the country. Journalist Tim Stevens covers the auto industry.
Waymo has been given a lot of runway this far and a lot of R&D dollars to develop this, truly incredible technology, but it is still a long way away from being a truly viable, independent, profitable business.
Using the Waymo app, we tried it for ourselves, taking a ride around Phoenix for about the same cost as calling an Uber.
You pretty quickly, sitting back here, forget there's no one actually driving the vehicle. There are a few little things that are different. It can be a little hesitant, and it's taken a couple of turns, maybe not the way a human driver would, but nothing that was unsafe.
What we've seen is that people experiencing the technology really leads to people using it more.
Two people who don't need to be convinced, Sheila and Robert.
It's fun and it's safe and you don't have to tip.
Riding into a tipless and driverless future. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
That's funny. I know a lot of people who don't tip now. San Francisco City Council denied Waymo a permit to add a parking garage after concerns from the community and labor unions that autonomous vehicles could cost jobs. Waymo is owned by Google's parent company, Alphabet. I'm not in a hurry for it to come here. I do not have faith in autonomous driving. I'm sorry. That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Now we've got ourselves a warm and muggy start across the area today, and we're going to be warm and muggy through the day, starting off with mostly clear skies and transitioning to partly cloudy as we head into the late morning hours and near 83. And as we head into the afternoon, even warmer as we go highs upper 80s again near 90, partly cloudy. Then by this afternoon, we'll start to see some of those pop-up storms again, and those will continue into the evening hours before they lose the daytime heating and begin to die out. And we'll be mild again this evening, dropping back into the upper 60s near 70 for an overnight low. We've got more pop-up storms tomorrow, but if you're west of 69 in southeast Kansas and even parts of northeast Oklahoma, you got better chances of at least some more meaningful rainfall across the area, which is great news. Low 90s on Sunday, more pop-up storms through Tuesday, mid to upper 80s, a cooler break on Wednesday, low 80s, and then as we head into the end of next week, temperatures rise again. We start climbing upper 80s, lower 90s, and we see more chances for some pop-up thunderstorms across the area. That's a quick check of your forecast, and we've done it. We made it to Friday. Isn't that great? That sounds like the perfect reason to celebrate with some birthdays and anniversaries. They're coming up after the break, but first, we're going to see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming right up on CBS Mornings, Jordan E. Cooper talks about being nominated for not one, but 2 Tonys for his critically acclaimed play, Ain't No Mo. He wrote it, stars in it, and that's coming up on CBS Mornings.
Forth at KOAMnewsnow.com/contests.
All right, time for some Friday birthdays across the area, and we begin with some belated birthday wishes going to Josetta Rodriguez in Parsons, celebrating number 53 on May 31st. Happy birthday.
All right, Jim and Betty Burton are celebrating their 50th anniversary this weekend. Congratulations to the Burtons.
We've also got James and Robin Zorn celebrating their 11th anniversary in Riverton. Happy anniversary to the Zorns.
To Wyatt Jean Haney in Galena, Kansas. To the strongest boy we know, love Mommy, Daddy, Gracie, and Katie. Happy birthday, Wyatt.
And we've got Dean Reinhardt over in Chanute celebrating birthday number 50 with birthday wishes coming from the guys at work.
And David and Myra Hunt in Galena are celebrating their 60th anniversary this weekend. Congratulations to the Hunts.
Our birthday list continues with Orrin Humble celebrating birthday number 44 in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday, Orrin.
And Brian Natalini in Columbus turning the big 6-0 today.
And we've got Milo and Janice Kellerman celebrating their 50th anniversary in Iola. Very happy anniversary to the Kellermans. Happy anniversary and birthday to all of the folks on our list. Tanya, where do they need to send them if they want to celebrate with us?
Well, it seemed like an awfully small list for a Friday, which it also includes Saturday as well. So make sure you're getting your birthdays into us and send them in at least a day in advance to birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do, and you get great deals from local businesses as well as a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the Birthday Club today. All right, so we got the warm, muggy conditions this morning. We've got more pop-up storm chances as we head into the afternoon as well. We go to the noon hour, got a few showers in our western counties. We're starting to see some of those pop-up storms develop around the area, and this will be, again, just a repeat. They'll be scattered across the area as we go through the afternoon and into the evening hours, and as we lose that daytime heating, those pop-up storms will go ahead and die on out. Then we'll head into our Saturday, and this is where For the drought-stricken portions of southeast Kansas, they get some good news. I know we all need this rain, but out there where the drought is at severe and extreme levels, there's going to be some meaningful rainfall expected tomorrow afternoon. Now, we're going to start off with some scattered storms. We'll have pop-up storms roughly east of 69, but the meaningful rainfall west of 69 back down into parts of northeast Oklahoma. By the time we get to 2 o'clock, you can see more widespread, more organized shower and thunderstorm activity with some good rainfall out there. Now, unfortunately, it's also kind of feeding off the heating of the day, so it doesn't last forever, but at least there's some good helpings of rainfall on the way for us in southeast Kansas as we head through Saturday afternoon. Then we go into our Sunday, and we've got, again, additional rounds of pop-up thunderstorms. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line, looking to the west. Got plentiful sunshine out there, just a handful of clouds, and we're getting the sunshine on the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, just south of Pittsburg, Kansas. And our camera at 7th in range line, showing that sunrise as it continues to climb into the skies. Warm, muggy, 67 in Joplin, mostly clear, so a few clouds, but not many. Dew point 61, though, humidity 81%, so it is, again, a little uncomfortable. We're a little cooler to the north, but starting to warm up. 63 Fort Scott, 64 Iola, 67s in Chanute in Neodesha, 65 Chatopa, 66 Miami, and 68 in Carthage. As we get our morning started, we're expecting to start with the mostly clear skies. Then we'll see increasing clouds, go partly cloudy, warm, muggy, low 80s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, another warm and muggy day. That's a kind of a repeating phrase. We go upper 80s, near 90, partly cloudy. Watching for those pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. Otherwise, remaining partly cloudy as we head into the overnight hours, and mild upper 60s, near 70 for our overnight lows. Near 90 tomorrow with those pop-up storms east of 69, better storms west of 69. Low 90s looking possible by Sunday with some pop-up storms. And those pop-up storm chances hang on through Tuesday. We stay in the mid to upper 80s, a little cooler by Wednesday, low 80s. And as we close out next week, pop-up storm chances return heading into the end of next week and next weekend, and temperatures really start to warm up as well as we go upper 80s and lower 90s by next weekend. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Award. We're proud to salute Bill Yarberry, a four-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Quapaw Nation will use a $2 million HUD grant to build an addition to the Kayhota Justice Center. It's to house the Family Services Department. Expanding the center will provide more resources to the community. Joplin Humane Society's kennels are getting more and more full. The Humane Society staff says they currently are at full capacity, which tends to happen this time of the year. Staff says the shelter can house about 450 animals, but they currently have more than 670 animals in care. And workers say the shelter is currently very lucky to have more than 200 kittens in foster homes, but more help from community is needed to foster, volunteer, and adopt. The lifeguard shortage is affecting community pools across much of the nation, but not in Pittsburgh. According to CBS News, the national lifeguard shortage is affecting community pools. A majority of them across the country are closed due to a lack of lifeguards. However, that's not the case for the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center. The pool manager says they're not hurting for lifeguards like other communities. And the good old days never went anywhere as long as you know where to find them. The annual Good Old Day celebration kicks off today in Fort Scott, Kansas, with food trucks, crafts, homemade root beer, plenty of activities for kids, and much more. The celebration doesn't just attract Fort Scott residents. People from all over make the trip to Fort Scott for the annual festivities. And we'll be there today on the KOAM News at noon for a live show. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And the weather you need to know as you head out the door: warm, muggy, upper 80s, near 90, partly cloudy. Pop-up storms return this afternoon into the evening hours. Once they clear out, will remain partly cloudy and mild back into the upper 60s for our overnight lows. More storms tomorrow. Pop-ups to the east of 69, better rain chances west of 69. Pop-up storms continue through Tuesday, near lower 90s on Sunday. Otherwise, upper 80s for our highs.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, in honor of National Donut Day, we're making donut bread pudding in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All right, and your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. C-H-A-M-P. Next on CBS Mornings, the new Scripps National Spelling Bee champ, joins the show to talk about how he feels from winning the competition.
All right, or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, just in case you missed it, we've got a recap of Shannon Becker's Big 3 Stories of the Week.
As we told you, many states across the nation dealing with a lifeguard shortage, but that's not the case with the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center. KOAM's Amber Jenkins dives into this story right here on Fox 14 at 7 a.m. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here Monday morning.
And we're going to see you today at noon live from Fort Scott, Kansas.